I've been in practice for about 10 years, and Counsel and Associates, we take pride in being advocates for injury victims. What that means is that every day we fight hard to make sure people who are injured due to automobile accidents, trucking accidents, and daycare center abuse, they get the recovery that they deserve and desire after those accidents. In my practice, we are the advocates for the injured. And I decided to start doing personal injury. It was basically a favor to a friend. I have a friend who's a doctor, and she wanted me to help one of her patients. And at first, I said no, because I thought personal injury attorneys were ambulance chasers, and I didn't want to be known as an ambulance chaser. But I decided, it's a friend. Let me help her. Helped her out. And I realized, one, I didn't chase an ambulance. And two, I really made a difference in that client slash patient's life. And so I was hooked. I am a people person, so I love working directly with people and actually making a difference. Because when you're in an accident or you're injured, you're scared, you may not know what to do. And I find joy guiding people through that process. And at the end, when they see that, yes, they were able to overcome this and move on with their life, that makes me very proud. I call myself a mother on a mission for justice when it comes to daycare center abuse, because unfortunately, my daughter was injured at a daycare center. And from that day forward, I wanted to make sure that no other parent had to go through what I had to go through with my daughter and her injury. Fortunately, she's okay now, and she doesn't even remember that it happened. But every day I get a call from a parent who is just devastated because their child has a catastrophic injury as a result of being in a daycare center. I came up with a pamphlet, and it's called The 101 Things You Must Ask Before You Choose a Daycare Center. And the purpose is I want parents to know exactly what to look for and the pitfalls that I've seen throughout my years of practice when it comes to daycare center abuse. I wish I would have known these things when I selected a daycare center for my daughter, but I didn't. But now that I do, I want everyone to know what they need to do to ensure their child is safe while they're in the care of others. First and foremost, parents need to make sure that the center that they are considering is actually licensed by the state. There is a big problem with centers who are not licensed. And the licensing is important because if a center is licensed, there is some sort of oversight. There's an agency that makes sure that they are following the checks and balances as outlined by the state. Second, you want to make sure that your daycare center conducts background checks of the employees. It may not be a worker that injures your child. You need to know about volunteers, contractors, anyone who's going to be in contact with your child. You need to know how your daycare center is going to handle making sure that your child is not a victim of an accident or a serious crime while in their care. I can't tell you how far I will go to make sure this doesn't happen. So I'm making it easy for parents. One, there's a pamphlet, and two, I have an e-course that explains everything and more than what's in the pamphlet, because I tried to get all of what I know into a document, but it's impossible. So that's why I said, let's do the e-course. And in addition to the e-course, we're going to be doing community events where I'll meet with parents. They can come with their questions and we can discuss what their concerns may be. Accidents at daycare centers are preventable. Okay, during the holiday season, it is a very, very festive time, and sometimes people are very excited to get where they're going. But I feel like it is my duty as an advocate for injury victims that you need to know the steps to make sure that you keep yourself safe during the holidays. The one thing, and the most important thing you need to do, is make sure that you are aware of your surroundings. Everybody is excited, but you always have to take responsibility for your own safety. Two, when you're traveling, try not to travel on what I call heavy travel days. If you can go, let's say for Thanksgiving, 2 or 3 days before, then that way you're less likely to be in a traffic jam, or you're less likely to be on the road with someone who is in a very, very much a rush to get where they're going. Three, before you get on the road, make sure your actual vehicle is in good repair, because oftentimes accidents are caused by vehicles that shouldn't even be on the road. So if you can take the time, get your vehicle checked out, make sure it's safe. And the fourth thing is, although it's a festive time, beware of drinking and driving, and know your limits. Have a designated driver, because during the holidays, the amount of drunk driving accidents, they skyrocket, and those accidents obviously are preventable. We get calls daily about truck accidents. So what we want to do as advocates for injury victims is to let individuals know what to do if, in fact, they are in an accident with a big truck. So we created a pamphlet, the top 10 things that you must do if you find yourself in that situation and hit by a big truck. We always tell clients, don't get stuck getting hit by a truck. And the only way to do that is to have information. And the one thing that most people don't understand is that trucking cases are handled totally different than regular passenger car cases. They have a higher level of regulation. They have federal regulations and actual state regulations. And that is because most trucks, they travel across state lines. And it's for our benefit and our protection, because most of the trucking accidents occur, one, because the drivers are overworked. Two, these truck companies sometimes don't adequately hire. As you see, everybody wants their packages yesterday. So there's always a need for drivers, and sometimes they get a little lax when it comes to hiring. Three, maybe a truck driver has been on the road too long. The federal laws limit how long a truck driver can be on the road. And four, sometimes these trucks are just not in good repair. Therefore, whatever you do, there's nothing a driver could have done to prevent it, because that vehicle shouldn't have been on the road to begin with. If you are deciding to take a ride share, there are some things that you can do to protect yourself that are very simple. One, make sure when you are waiting for your ride, you know what type of car you're looking for, and cross-reference what you're looking for against the car that actually shows up to pick you up. Two, look at the license plate of the car that picks you up. Make sure that matches what's in your rideshare app. Three, ask the driver to give you their name. You can easily find the name of your driver just by looking at the rideshare app. And four, when you're in the car, don't let your guard down. If you feel uncomfortable and things aren't going right, stop the ride. Tell the driver to pull over or call 911. And even further, you can actually summons the rideshare company and let them know that things are just not going well with the ride. As a host of a party, you always want to make sure that your guests are having a good time. However, you don't want them to have too much of a good time, because that good time could create turmoil for you as the host. And the reason why I say that is because if you invite someone in your home and you provide alcohol to them, we call it gratuitously or free, you could be liable if that guest then goes out and they're intoxicated and they hurt someone else. If you see someone who is overindulging and you know they're going to be in a vehicle driving, you as a party host, you have a duty not to overserve them, because you will be responsible if something happens later. You want to make sure, if you're serving alcohol, that you're mindful if someone is bringing underage children. And so maybe you want to put the children's table in a separate area, so you know if Jimmy or Sally is going over to the good table, that's a problem. So separate the food and the beverages. Also, you can make little cute note cards that say, get home safe, be sober. Let us know if you need to stay over, or do call an Uber or Lyft or rideshare. And sometimes these companies will offer discounts if you let them know that you're hosting a party, that you may be serving alcohol there. They will offer discounts so your guests can get home safely. First, it's easily concealable. it looks like a USB drive. Two, the flavoring. They're flavors that kids would love, mango, cherry, and flavors that are just typically something that kids are drawn to. Three, the odors are sweet, and sometimes the smoke is very undetectable, so parents don't even know that a child may be vaping right in front of them. And four, which is the most devastating, is that this product contains nicotine, and we know how addictive nicotine is, but just think about how addicting nicotine is to a child whose brain has not fully developed. So this is a very dangerous product for children.